So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this, and welcome to the Down the Lane podcast on a Wednesday, the 1st of April, when we have probably our date with Destiny on Friday away at Worthing. Miles, we're obviously going over there. What's your thinking before Friday?
Want it over and done with, if I'm being perfectly honest. I said in the last podcast that I feel like I should be there if and when we get relegated. And I expect us to get relegated on Friday. We would need to essentially better Farnborough's result. So if they were to get a draw or win and we need to do worse than them, we're down. They've got Hampden and Richmond, I believe, also down there with us too. So I expect they'll probably get at least a point. Others don't see us getting anything out of Worthing. So not looking forward to it. I expect Worthing won't be quiet in letting us know we're going down. Should be a good crowd. It should be the time of year where we're fighting for better things than relegation. I think everyone looked at this fixture at the start of the season and thought, Worthing, Easter, going to be the same sort of scenario as when Smiffy was keeping coach last season. We had a bit of a ding-dong, didn't we, for first in the league in front of 3,600 at Priory Lane. So to have it like this now is very, very sour, very disappointing. I'm not going to reiterate everything I've said on previous podcasts, but everyone knows how everyone feels. So yeah, not looking forward to it, but I guess it's a day out of football.
Yeah, same here. I mean, obviously, like you, not looking forward to it. Not concerned about how the young fans will treat it, but I think, like you, Miles, they're probably not gonna be very quiet. I personally think the older fans will. Actually, they won't give us that harder time. I think they'll actually feel sorry for us. They're a club that have been up the top there, and they're up the top again this year. They're going to be in the playoffs, and I think honestly, the sensible football supporters will just be thinking, that could have been us. And obviously, listen, what would we do if we was in the opposite position? We've got to look at that, and at the end of the day, if they do give us a little bit of stick, we've got to accept it. But at the end of the day, like you, I'm kind of resigned to we've been resigned to the fact now for a few weeks of the inevitable. So, and obviously, yeah, it looks like it's going to be Friday. I'm not going to be there on Monday. I know you're sort of 80-20 miles about whether you're going to be there, but we may be elsewhere on a Monday to watch some football. So obviously on Friday we may well get relegated, and obviously you can see on the screen Smiffy, you're joining us tonight. Welcome to the Down the Lane podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on. And obviously, whilst we're being looking down the barrel of relegation, you're looking at possibly a league title on Friday. How does that feel?
The game's actually Saturday, so we've actually got Good Friday off for once, so it's probably my first Good Friday off for quite a while. But hopefully Saturday's away at St Albans, tough place to go. Hopefully we can get the job done. Technically, I think we need 2 points, so 1 win or 2 draws, but we'll definitely take the win Saturday.
Getting at St Albans early for a bit of Chicken George, yeah? Because that's what we're looking forward to.
How good's their food, by the way? I don't know if it's the same food that the players get after the game. It's all lined up in the tunnel, and it's just boxes and boxes of chicken. Like, I've never seen Courtney eat so much before.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Mate, honestly.
Yeah, we're that's the only good thing about relegation, right? We're going to get Chicken George next year, but knowing our luck, they'll probably lose the tender and we'll have a McDonald's or something instead. So, there we go. Right, so obviously, Smithy, you're joining us tonight. You were at the club for a good period of time, and through some good times, some bad times for you personally, and we're going to touch on all them subjects now. But how did you first come to be at Eastbourne Borough? What was what brought you to the club?
So I see advert on LinkedIn, and I had 2 people send me the job as well. So a good friend of mine sent me the job, Paul Barnes, who's the ex-Dulwich manager. and a scout that I know. He sent me the job, and I was at Tunbridge at the time, so I was a little bit wary. Like, shall I apply? I'm not sure, because I don't want to piss anyone off at Tunbridge. People that know me, I'm quite loyal, and I don't want to leave anyone in the shit. So I just thought, I was struggling for work at the time as well, and I thought, it's full-time football, I'm just going to apply. So I applied for the job, sent the CV off. Within 20 minutes, I got a call from Mark Anderson. I don't know if you guys remember Mark. He'd done a little bit of recruitment for us in the Great Escape season. Lovely guy. He literally just gave us a call. He said, can we arrange a Zoom meeting the following morning with the gaffer, obviously Adam. So I was like, yeah, no problem. I think it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. We had a Zoom call. Me and gaffer got on really well. Called me back later that day, offered me the role, and I was in the next day, so I had to resign that day from Tunbridge, which obviously they're the guys I'm with now at Folkestone. So yeah, that's how I ended up at Eastbourne. I think it was February the 1st I joined, yeah.
And obviously you then moved down into the house where all the management team, or you was involved in that, in staying down there. How was that house? And especially through like your first few games, obviously, we weren't getting them wins, and there must have been a bit of panic setting in, right? But then obviously through the rest of that season, how was the atmosphere in that house? What was you doing behind the scenes? I mean, we used to see you at the club a lot of the time. We'd come down for maybe for doing a pod or Monday night football, and you were there, you were scouting, you were doing whatever. But how was the atmosphere in the house, and what was your role at the club then? Because it was a bit bigger than just a goalkeeper coach, I understand.
The house, I'll give you 2 words: mental asylum. But it was also a place of work as well. So like you said, you saw us in the main bar. We'd be, after training, we'd be sat in the bar doing all our work. We'd even carry it home. So we'd get bored of that setting, go back to the house. We'd have wire scouts set up in the living room there. And we would watch 3-4 games a week on the opposition. We'd make sure every detail was covered, whether it's defending corners, free kicks, their goal kicks, our goal kicks. Adam left nothing unturned. And we would all be sat in the front room watching it, making our notes, doing our thing. I'll be doing my session based on whatever opposition we're facing that week. So the house was a place of work, but when it was time to relax, it was a nut house. That's the easiest way I can put it.
Yeah, it sounds like a good laugh. Everyone involved, all good characters. Sounds like you got on well. Speaking of getting on well, obviously we stayed up in 23-24. I believe it was on the Thursday night. Taunton lost to Western-super-Mare, and I hear there was a bit of a celebration. There
was a celebration. So was that on it was the Thursday, wasn't it?
It was the Thursday, yeah, because we played Western away, didn't we, on Tuesday? And got a point, and then then they lost, I think, on the Thursday. So
the Thursday was me, Adam, Ori, aka Biscuit, and Luca went out into town after training. We weren't drinking because we knew we had to stay sort of sober until the result came in. So we found a little boozer in the town. It was over near the railway station. That's all I remember. But it was a tiny little quiet pub. There was no one in there, and it had 2 sides to the pub. So we would sat there. Gaffer told us to turn the phones off. Turned the phones off. I think he was the only one to have the phone on. He was the only one allowed. But to be fair to him, he didn't look at the results until about the 60th minute, 70th minute. And I remember he gave me a look, and I knew the look that he gave me was, it's going our way. And then I remember he said, fuck this. He goes, I'm just going to look. And then we was literally counting down from the last 15, 10 minutes, whatever it was, just waiting for that final whistle. And then when the whistle went, we've erupted. All 4 of us are in tears of joy, cuddling each other, making a right old racket in this quiet little pub. Landlady wasn't too happy. She told us to shut up and get out, so we politely shut up and went out. Then all the video calls started happening. I think Simon put some money behind the bar, if I remember rightly. Everyone back to the bar. Party time, back at the bar. Went on till, I think, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. What stands out is Biscuit laying on the bar and Ben Dudzinski drinking a shot out of his belly button. So that will live in my brain forever. And then, and also Ben, for some reason it's always the goalies, isn't it? Ben and Finn on the stage singing Boats and Hoes from Step Brothers. They're the two things that always stand out on me that night. Oh, and Greek, do you remember Greek Steph?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so he helped us obviously that season. He didn't drink, but somehow he managed to drink that night, and he was in the dentist chair like Paul Gascoigne at one stage. It was carnage.
And that was at a pub or at the club?
That was at the pub. Sorry, the club. Right. That was at the main bar. Yeah.
Absolute carnage. No, yeah, great times. You still managed to pull the boys together for a 3-2 win away on the Saturday, which is even more impressive.
You know what? Because we had training the next day as well. We had training the next day on the Friday. I think we still managed to get on time. I don't know how, because everyone was steaming almost. I say everyone. There was a few boys that didn't drink. We came in on Friday as a goalie session. We'll have a little sweat on, and then we'll just chill. And I'd always do head tennis. So me and Ben went out obviously the night before, and we were steaming. But Finn and H didn't drink that night. So the teams were head tennis, me and Ben versus them two. So the two pissheads versus the two sober ones. And we managed to beat them at head tennis, and we still give them a little bit of stick to this day for that. So we beat them drunk.
Well, even with a headache. Even
with a headache. Mate, trust me, they're competitive as well. Like Finn would lose his head if he lost. And he hated losing to two people who'd just been out on the piss for 12 hours.
I bet he did, I bet.
So, folks, he might have a National League South title, but he hasn't beat Smiffy whilst he's
or
over a head tennis.
No,
yeah.
No. Still remind you every now and again about that.
Oh, class. Speaking of folks, he came in, played every game, didn't he, pretty much when Adam got his settled goalkeeper off the back of 23-24. A couple of things with Folksy. Obviously, first of all, word from you on Folksy, and then also how was the process of looking for a new keeper? Because I say big shoes to fill, big gloves to fill, I guess, because he was so crucial in us staying up, and now is obviously doing amazingly at Dorking, and definitely deserves opportunity higher up the pyramid.
100%, mate. Folksy is an unbelievable person, an unbelievable goalkeeper. A lot of people have this weird thing in their mind about height. He's not even that small, I don't think. I think he's 6 foot, 6'1", I think. So he's not even that small. He's incredible attributes with his feet, cross-taking, shot-stopping's incredible. He's just a good all-round goalkeeper. And I would not be surprised if you see him in the Football League in the near future. He is an incredible goalkeeper.
Did you see the save versus Maidstone he made the other week when he was going back across the goal?
My best mate, he's a Dorking fan. So he rings me up all the time. Go on Y Scout, look at folks. I was like, right, I see it all anyway. But
yeah, I saw a bunch of amateurs. Like, what I say, I think Mark couldn't even believe it either.
Yeah, no, he's top draw. It looks like he's got better as well. He's just getting better and better. So Dino's obviously doing a great job with him down there as well. So credit to him all.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's obviously big gloves to fill with Folksy departing. And it was a bit of a strange summer with the goalkeeper situation, wasn't it? Because we got Dubois in initially, Adam Dubois.
Yes.
And then he never played a competitive game for us. And then Joe Wright came in last pre-season game from memory. So how was that process for you? Maybe a bit of a stressful summer because you want to get your goalkeeper nailed down quickly, I'd assume.
Yeah, well, I had my. Sorry, Miles. I had my goalkeeper.
No, you're fine. Carry on.
I thought you stopped. I had my goalkeeper ready, which was Adam Wright. He won't mind me saying that. So I'd always present a list to the gaffer of my top 5 to 10 targets who I think is going to be good enough for us. Adam was top of that list. Second was Joe Wright. Obviously, we brought Adam in. He signed everything. He agreed everything. What he didn't realise at the time, and it just shows you the person that he is, he didn't realise that he had an ACL injury. He had no idea, and I think he played 53 games that season with all cup games. Like, he played every single game, and from memory, his conversation with me was that he trained every game as well. So what he didn't want to do was, and credit to him, he just ripped up his contract where, you know, he could have been a bit of an arsehole and just stayed at the club and just got paid every week and been out for a year. But he didn't. He was honest with us. He ripped the contract up, and he went and got himself fit, and now he's flying at Gateshead again. Obviously, he was at Slough. But yeah, I thought I had my job done, and it turned out to be an absolute headache in the end, because it was trying to get Righty back on board, which we managed to do.
Yeah. How do you manage that then? Because, I mean, were there any talks with Righty at all before Dubois came in? Like, obviously, it's a sensitive one to manage if you told him your second choice, or, you know, you're not priority, and then suddenly he's priority, but obviously he's got to get a move lined up, isn't he? But he was playing in Ireland at the time, wasn't he? So
yeah, he had a spell in Ireland. He had a
Mm.
spell at Salford, but they're two different goalkeepers. I mean, if you watch Adam play, he's an absolute maniac. He is an 80s, 90s goalkeeper in a modern body. He will put his head on every ball. He'll literally put his body on line for everything. Where Wright is a little bit more composed, a little bit more relaxed, not as erratic, if you like. And I doubt Adam will watch this anyway, but he won't mind me saying that. But yeah, the two very different goalkeepers.
Yeah, definitely. When you're doing your like goalkeeper scouting analysis, you know, that sort of thing, because I think we get a lot of content nowadays online, like with the whole outfield tactics, coaching, that sort of thing. I feel like when I watch Ben Foster quite a lot, I think he's probably like the only goalkeeper mainly that puts content out there. But I always find it quite interesting because it's such a different area of the pitch, and you know, as a goalkeeper, sort of like a lone wolf, aren't you? Really, only keepers really understand keepers. So how does like that prep? You go back to like your preparation on match day, scouting goalkeepers. You know, how does that really like work for you in terms of analysis?
First, it depends what club you're at, what manager you're under. So for me, I'd ask the manager, right, how are we going to play? How do you want to set up for goal kicks? Like, and I'd get sort of a gauge of what he wants. Does he want someone who's going to claim every ball in the box? Because you're not going to get every attribute at this level. Because if you did, they wouldn't be at this level. So my scouting would be just say, Adam, right, we're going to play out from the back. So that goalkeeper's now got to be comfortable with the ball at his feet. You know, he's got to be composed under pressure with a rapid striker running at you. He's got to be composed on his next decision. So I'd look at things like that, and just base it off that, really.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark White said it was like whack-a-mole trying to find a keeper with every attribute. And I think we're guilty of that as fans. We're always like lambasting the keeper for not having, you know, the ability to play up their feet. But then we've got to realise that, you know, they're not the finished article in the National League South or the Isthmian Prem. So yeah, I think the keeper we've had in the last couple of years, especially under yourself, have all been very good.
Appreciated.
So we've kind of moved on a little bit, but obviously at the end of the 23-24 season, you've told us about your Thursday night, antics in the club and being a little bit hungover at training on the Friday. Obviously, we then went on the Saturday up to Braintree. I managed to beat them 3-2. Now, yeah. I mean, obviously, Braintree was in the playoffs. I mean, obviously the pressure was lifted off them. We didn't need that result. But how did you as a team, because I presume the team didn't go out with you on the Thursday night. You said it was just you guys. But how not as bad, how did you celebrate that victory away at Braintree? Because, I mean, a lot of the fans, you know, you look at their Facebooks and one of them pictures is, you know, all the fans there with the management team. I mean, I couldn't be there. I was doing the marathon the day after, so I couldn't be at that game, and it's one game that I'm gutted I missed. But how did you How did you celebrate as a team after that?
So the boys did come out on the Thursday night, just to clarify that. They did, hence why we was all a bit hungover on the Friday
And
session. So, yeah, they'd had a skinful
The whole
that night.
squad, yeah.
But everyone, even we even managed to get Stu out of bed, and Stu, very light drinker. Stu come out, no joke, like Stu. It was like ringing Stu up. Come on, Stu, you got to come back down to the bar. So I mean, he put his little snakeskin shoes on. He drifted down, had half a shandy, and went back to bed. But credit to Stu. But yeah, the Braintree game was obviously we were unreal that day. We were unreal, and I remember we were getting compliments from the fans, their staff, even their players at the end. It's like, well done, boys. Like, don't know how you're down that low. But the coach journey home was quite an eventful one. So Gaffer said to me, he's like, Smiffy, I'm going back home. I'm going back to Derby. And obviously, it's last game of the season. He had his bag of stuff with him. It's like, yeah, no probs. Stu driving back to Grimsby. It's like, see you later, Stu. See you in pre-season. Like, all the best. So Gaffer's just said to me, he goes, make sure everyone on the coach is sensible, blah, blah, blah. Gaffer, you leave it with me. No problem. I will make sure everyone's fine. Within 10, 15 minutes, I get a phone call from the gaffer. I've just drove past the coach on the motorway. What the is going on in that coach? I had Biscuit and Greek Steph naked wrestling at the back of the coach. Everyone's on the sauce. It was a very, very eventful coach journey home. But it was just their boy. The boys have done it. The Great Escape happened. It was their time to just let pure steam off. And the gaffer, I just remember Gaffer laughing his head off and just put the phone down on me.
Brilliant. And I expect he knew when he said that to you that was going to be an eventful journey. And I mean, he must have known you as a person like we did. And saying that to you was never going to happen, was it? I mean, let's be fair. As a person, you're quite you're out there, and yeah, I can imagine. So, did that party carry on when you got back to the club, or?
A lot. So the boys that stayed down at Eastbourne in the players' house, I believe they all went out that night. I think quite a few of them actually stayed down. I'm not sure if they went into Brighton, if memory serves me right. I went home to my family. Obviously, I think Biscuit would have joined them at some stage. But yeah, I went home because I had to drive back off the coach, so I couldn't have too many anyway. But I know the boys went out somewhere. I'm almost certain it was Brighton.
And then we moved into the 24-25 season, which obviously turned into a season where, unbelievably, on the last day of the season, 6 teams could still win the league. I mean, I don't think that ever happens again. I really do not think that ever happens again. But go back to the start of that season. Obviously, we'd added a few. We kept a lot of the squad together, but we'd added a few through the summer. How was that? How was the build up to that as a whole? You know, as the whole club, and what was the feelings around the club at that time of where we could actually end up finishing that season?
Gaffer wouldn't let anyone get carried away. That was for sure. Like any talk of it, he'll just shut it down. Every game was next game. Win your next game. You're only as good as your last game. So we felt the pressure from you guys in terms of good pressure. Like we wanted to give back to you guys. We knew, well, I say we, the boys, the players knew how good they were on the pitch. Other teams knew how good they were on the pitch. It was just trying to put it together consistently every game. So I think if you remember rightly, I think we had a little spell where we were drawing quite a lot, and it was just trying to turn them draws into wins. I can't remember what period that was, what sort of month it was.
The Christmas period, 0-0s, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like Salisbury, Truro, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was trying to just go that one step further and just progress that into the wins. But we'd be playing unbelievable football. We just couldn't score. Like I think George went on a little goal drought, and then I actually took George to me and George like snooker, so we actually went down the snooker club in Eastbourne. And I take full credit for this, by the way, because once I started taking him to snooker, he started scoring like every game. The gaffer actually said to us on the training, he goes, whatever Smiffy's doing with you at snooker, you keep fucking going snooker. So it's like, all right. So we kept going. And obviously Alfie was banging in goals, and then I think he had a little dry spell, and he was just trying to get a balance of seeing it all through and trying to bloody get to where we all wanted to go.
And so things were going really well. We're obviously, you know, we're up there in amongst it. I mean, again, like I say, I think there was a period around the Christmas period where there was like 4 or 5 teams all on the same amount of points at the top of the league. I mean, it was just unbelievable season, right? And we got to that Christmas period where we had our games against Worthing, and then for you, personal tragedy struck, right, with, you know, the death of your cousin. How was that? How was that at the club at the time, and how did you handle that with your work? How were the people at the club? How were the supporters of the club? Just how did you get through that heartbreaking time for you?
So, sorry boys, it gets me every time.
That's all right.
January the 3rd. It was January the 3rd. It was just so. I was actually with my cousin Regan on Boxing Day. We had a game. Who did we play Boxing Day? Can't remember who we played. Salisbury. So I went to my auntie's, which is in South Croydon. So went over there straight after the game, had a little family get together. Regan, my cousin, was there. He was telling us all about his trip to Thailand, well excited about it. And then a few days later, we're getting news that he's not been in contact with anyone, so people started panicking because it was just unlike him. And then, yeah, we got the news on the 3rd of January that they'd found a body in Thailand. So we couldn't afford to get his body home because it cost, I think it was 15 grand and then another 10 grand for something else, I think, if I remember rightly. And it was a tough start to the year for me personally, because I wanted to. So I'm going to rewind a little bit. So when I was at Tunbridge, I actually started off Tunbridge with sour news as well. So my dad, who you two must have met my dad. He looks like me. He's bigger, less pretty. I'm going to put that on the record. He lost all 3 of his brothers, obviously my uncles, in 151 days while I was at Tunbridge. So leading up to that, obviously I joined Eastbourne a year later. So it was still very raw for all of us. We haven't even had time to grieve for my first uncle passing away, let alone 3. And then even one of my uncle's wives passed away of a broken heart. So we actually lost 4 family members in such a very short space of time. And then obviously fast forward to your question now with Regan, I couldn't believe what was happening to my family. I literally could not believe what was happening to my family. Like, it was like the devil had just taken control of my whole family. The gaffer was unbelievable with me, unbelievable. The support, he said, have the week off, have 2 weeks off. Whatever you need, you take it off. Because we found out Regan was murdered. His body was found with coutures in his head, so 3 head blows. And he was found floating in the sea. So yeah, that was tough. When I got the news, it was very, very tough. But obviously Gaffer was very supportive. The players were incredible. Alfie Pavey, who was like head of all the fines money, he donated out of the players' money £1,000 to my family, which is unbelievable. And even the boys still done individual donations to my family to get my cousin home. So saying I will never. I will never ever forget what they done for me and my family, ever. And then John Kane, whatever you guys want to call him, he actually reached out to me and donated, I think, was another £1,000 from the fans kitty. I can't remember, some fund that he had, which another incredible gesture by the club. And then I believe Simon whacked in a few £100 as well, which again was, the gratitude's there. The gratitude's there. The players were very supportive. Obviously, Joe, the number one, he was very supportive towards me. Finn, even Finn Weston. So yeah, it was a tough time, but I didn't want to let you guys down, and I certainly weren't letting the players down, and I weren't letting my goalkeepers down, because as much as I needed them, and obviously I knew my family had my back anyway. Anyone that knows me, I can't sit at home because I'll just go AWOL. So I had to go into training every day because the job was to get you boys promoted. So I had to repay every single one of you somehow, and that was by working my bollocks off for your club.
And you certainly did that. So just while we're at that point, we're just going to have a quick word from our sponsors.
Hi guys, I'm Gary. I'm the owner of Polegate Car Sales. If you're looking to buy or sell your vehicle anywhere in the country, I am your man. We're open 7 days a week. Sunday is appointment only, but Ben works 6 till 10 any hour God sends. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you to our sponsors, Polegate Car Sales. Much appreciated supporting the channel, and if you need a car, need a deal, Gary's your man to go speak to, so give him a shout and he'll help you out. So, Smiffy, moving on to sort of 2025, we spoke about how we sort of struggled for goals over the Christmas period, and it felt like it was all coming together very nicely, sort of in that sort of latter part of the season. I believe we got Jason Adigan in, started really clicking up front, and obviously you boys are keeping it tight at the back as well, so obviously it would be nice if that was the whole way through the season, but we still had a great end to the season and could have got the title, of course. So what sort of change, if anything at all, or was it just like the boys sort of understood their jobs and knew where they were at, and Adigan was that final bit of magic, I guess, to the puzzle?
Yeah, I think there was a few boys coming back from injury as well. I think Skip was on his way back, Brad Barry.
Yeah, he came back.
Obviously, he bolstered the midfield. Obviously, he needs no introduction. What a legend. The signing of Jason, I think, was probably the final piece that we needed. He was like a magician some days, wasn't he? He was sparked this little bit of magic. And even Jaden, and I know Jaden was with us from the beginning, but he, with them two, I just felt like when they turn it on, anything could happen. And it was, again, just trying to get that consistency of every game, just winning every game. Because I think, was there a period again where we had so many wins on the bounce? Was there?
I can't think. We had a certain period of time we were undefeated for a certain amount of games. And almost we kept that run of clean sheets of 9 games, I think it was.
Yes.
And then we went to Dorking, didn't we, and
penalty,
lost.
Didn't it?
It did, yeah. Chelmsford,
2-1.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that was in January, wasn't it? Then we went there all that run, didn't we? And then I think it was Dorking was our loss, I believe, that ended the streak off the top of my head.
Yes. Away, was it that the away one?
Yeah, away when they scored first, and then they got sent.
We played them
got
in
man
the
sent off
as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we played them a few times, didn't we? They had a man sent off, didn't they, after about 20 minutes, and then they basically set up shop to keep us out, and then we got hit in the break a couple of times.
That was the worst part. Every time a player got sent off, I don't know, it was like we had a man sent off, and even though we prepared for that situation all the time. If they get a man sent off, that's our shape. This is what you're going to do. That's what that person's going to do. But for whatever reason, it just did not go to plan.
No. Yeah, it was our Achilles heel, wasn't it?
And it was a bit of a standing joke on the terraces that, someone would go in and it'd be like, no, ref, don't give him a fucking red card.
Yeah.
Because
That was Western at home.
literally-
Last day of the season, wasn't it? Everyone was keep him on.
Keep him on, mate. Don't give him a red card, for Christ's
That's
sake.
what I was saying to the fourth official in the Maidstone game, because they went down to 10 again, didn't they? I can't remember who got sent off for it, but I was saying to the fourth official, that's not a red card, keep him on. And he's looking at me thinking, what? Well, we can't take a risk here, I'd rather him on.
Exactly that. We was the same on the touchlines, I tell you.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Miles, sorry, mate, I can't even remember the question now.
We were saying about back end of the season, weren't we? And it was all coming together, and we were scoring, hitting Weymouth, Farnborough for 4. Yeah, it was all going really, really well. And then obviously we had those crucial games. Really, I felt like, and I'm sure you'll won't mind me saying this, we just sort of didn't quite get it over the line, did we? With the likes of Dorking and Worthing, etc. So they were the sort of games we had to, especially that Worthing game, like going against 10 men. We had enough chance in that game to get the result, and then after that it wasn't in our hands, albeit we did win the last couple of games. But at that point you're relying on luck, which is never nice to be in any situation in football. You want it in your control, and ultimately Truro had it in their control and they did the job. So what was like your memory obviously of the games that didn't quite go so well, and why I think that was in particular?
There's always one game that sticks out, always one game.
Hemel.
Is it Hemel? 3-1 up. And I remember the header that went in, because I had the perfect angle of it, and I thought, could Joe have got there? And when I watched it back, I realised he was blocked and he wouldn't have been able to get there. So my initial thought was, fucking hell, that's our fault. But when I watch it back, there was no way he was going to save it anyway. But I remember when it went in, I sat in my chair with the ump, and I just thought, I hope this ain't going to come and bite us on the arse, because if you win that game, you're picking up the league title, and you know everything's a different story, isn't it?
Yeah,
that game definitely stands out.
But I think you say that, and I'm not sure, Smiffy. I sit there and think, you know, I remember that Worthing were playing up at Hornchurch on a Tuesday night, and I literally went up there. You know, Worthing were top of the league at the time. They were 5 points clear. They had a game in hand, and I went up there and literally, I think that night we had like a little group chat, obviously amongst fans, people that were going on coaches or in cars or whatever, and I was kind of updating everybody, you know, with what was going on, and I looked that night at Hinch when he did his post-match interview afterwards. He looked a broken man. He looked broken on the touchline, you know, as to what was going on. Why were they throwing this away?
Chris, not Hinch.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
You know, he was standing there he was on the touchline. He just looked like a broken man, and I was just thinking, you know, and I think that season, I don't know what it was. It was just written in the script, right? It didn't matter. If we'd have gone 5 points clear, we'd have ended up throwing it back to make it. It was, you know, it was in the stars, right, that was going to be the end of the season. And I think, you know, we did a podcast with, there was a fan from every club, you know, the six clubs, and it was quite weird actually, because we recorded it on a Wednesday night, and there was me, you know, James from Dorking. There was one for everyone: Truro, Torquay, Worthing. And we recorded it, and for some reason there was no audio, right? And we sat there for an hour and 40 minutes talking about, and I went back to, and it was actually an issue with the platform, and I messaged the guys out and I said, you know, look, sorry guys, I said the audio hasn't recorded, right? So thanks for your time tonight, but unfortunately,
Have you got it right tonight?
Yeah, don't worry about that. We're all good tonight.
April Fools.
Yeah. But no, literally, I messaged the guys out and they went, well, listen, that's right for the season, yeah? It was never going to go right first time, so let's do it again tomorrow. And we literally sat there the next night. We had to have a couple of different people in who were working, because 2 of them were working. But it worked. And, you know, there were 6 of us literally sitting there a week before going, who's going to win the league? And I said, and you can go back and watch this pod, I said, this is going to be the only week that every one of them top 6 teams win the game of football. And what happened? Everyone won. I didn't have the accumulator like I should have done. But yeah, I just think it was written in the stars that season was going to go right down to the wire, and you know, what a season to be part of. I know we didn't win the league, but what a season to be part of that running at the top. Obviously, there will be personal disappointments for you and for the management team and for the players alike, because everybody wanted to win that league, right? Mm-hmm. But it was just a great season to be involved in, right?
It was a great season to be involved in. To carry on from the Great Escape into a season like that, for me personally, it was just full of emotion. From the minute I walked through the door to the minute I walked out of the door, it was just an utter privilege to be a part of the club, and to go last season undefeated at home was incredible. I'm not counting Maidstone playoff on that, because it was a playoff game. So every league game we was undefeated, and the gaffer would never let anyone talk in the dressing room unless he asked Stu or Greenie to talk. But I'd always sort of have the final word in terms of when the buzzer rings and all the boys are lining up to go out the door. I'd have the same shout at every home game. This is our fucking house and no one comes in here to take the piss. And that was every home game. I didn't once forget to say that. And that was the last message the boys heard. And I think it was about 4 or 5 games in from home, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to keep carrying this on, because I'd love to go the whole season undefeated here. It'd be brilliant. And at one stage, I even text Alan saying, can we change the walkout music to Who Let the Dogs Out? Because we'd be in the tunnel barking as well, like just geeing everyone up. So it was a great season to be a part of. To go undefeated at home, it's just an achievement on its own, really. And honestly, you guys had a massive part to play in that, because you were so loud at is it the river end that you call it? Yeah, the far end. Yeah, you definitely. I don't know why you guys always used to stand over the side, because we wanted you boys behind the goal trying to suck the ball in.
Yeah, so
it changed around, didn't it?
Oh mate, the group chats were mad. It was like, oh, we're gonna claim the river end and start there the whole game, and then I remember there was one game that you came running round and you said, get the river end, what are you doing? But nobody liked standing at that mid-green end, because where they had the big net, you couldn't really stand right behind the goal. You couldn't see the game properly.
I get it, yeah.
So that was why people were staying, and it was like, you know, it actually split us up, because there was people like me that I've always gone behind the goal, you know, that we're shooting at. And I mean, I know we're going to end this in a minute, or when we end it, Miles is going to ask you a question about the mental side of a goalkeeper. And obviously people like me are the ones that might cause issues, because listen, I've done it for 30 years. I'm not going to change. I won't say anything horrible against the goalkeeper, but I will try and have banter with them. And I'll try and put them off, right? And I'll try and nick that 1%, because I think if I nick that 1% out of a goalkeeper, that he makes that one mistake, it might be one mistake out of a season that gets us a goal, you know, then look, and our keepers get it the other end, right? You know you're going to say to them, we're going there, and they're quite a hostile crowd. So that's going to obviously come in. But, you know, I've got keepers like Nathan Ashmore that will come up and shake my hand before a game. Right, and he gives it back to me, right? And massive, mate. I love him. And me, Joe, and Bobby went to a Worthing v Boreham Wood. That was again one midweek night, and I think we were playing
Enfield.
I think we were playing at Enfield, weren't we? Yeah, and it was called off on the Tuesday night, and we're like, we're still going to football. So we went to watch Worthing v Boreham Wood, and literally he come running out the tunnel, and he saw me, and he come running over to me and went, I've got to put up with you again, you know, because he knew that what it was like. But yeah, listen, I mean, he's a guy that I definitely want to get on this podcast, because, just a fantastic guy.
Good guy. You definitely have some stories.
So obviously, in the run up to the end of that season, I mean, we had the disappointment of the playoff game. Was there ever a time that? Oh, I know you said that Adam wouldn't let you talk about it, but was there ever a time that the guys actually believed this was it? We were going to win the league? Was there ever a time that the players came out with that?
The boys believed in themselves 100%. Like, no one really needed to say, like, or put the message. The boys knew. Everyone knew. Everyone in that dressing room knew that they could do it. Like, they didn't need telling again. You know, it was just the gaffer's job, my job, Greeny's job, whoever's job, just to help them towards the goal. Do you see what I'm saying? And it was just trying to get that final message to them. But they all knew. Everyone knew what the goal was, and it was to win the league title. Mm-hmm. Promotion.
And obviously that didn't happen. You know, we suffered that playoff defeat against Maidstone. And, you know, again, we did a group podcast before. We did the one with the top six, and then we done one with a six. It actually never got never got out there, but we basically picked the playoff results, and the first team we eliminated was Boreham Wood. And then they go and win it, right? You know, they come in with a wet sail at the end of the year and win it. So, how did you see that when you were looking at the games and you saw, you know, Boreham Wood win and beat Torquay, and then you saw, you know, Maidstone go and beat Worthing? You know, the teams that were basically the bigger competition were losing. How did you, in the management house, how did you deal with that at that time? What was your thoughts? You know, your thoughts, your thinking.
We knew we were good enough to win it. We knew how good we were as a team, a management group, a club. You guys, everyone knew how good we were, and there's no beating around the bush. It was an awesome team, right? It was good. It was. I'm not sure, to be fair. I'm not sure what was going through our heads at the time. We were just taking every day as another day. It was just another football match. Because, like I said, the gaffer wouldn't let anyone get carried away with it. Every analysis we'd do, at the end of it, he'd have a slide. And if I remember rightly, again, every slide towards the last month, maybe 2 months leading up towards the end of the season, it ended with the word win. But prior to that, it would be relentless or express yourselves. It would be, so that's how we got the message across. It was just a mental thing. The last word they see is win. The last voice they hear in the changing room was mine, is in terms of, this is our house, no one fucking comes here to take the piss. So I think them two things psychologically does enough for a player, I think. And that's not me taking credit for anything, by the way, but I'm just trying to give you an example of a psychological thing that the last things the boys would hear and see.
Yeah. And obviously then we moved on. We got beat, and then we moved on. The next time we saw you was the last time we saw you in Eastbourne Borough Tire, which was at the Players Awards night, where George done his fantastic speech. I kind of got a video of that night. Yeah, you've got to send that to me, because I'll tell you, that's fantastic. That's fantastic, mate. But we was only talking about that actually on the was it the last pod, Miles, or the one before? We were talking about the speech. It was fantastic. But yeah, I think it was
recently.
Smiffy. But obviously that night, you know, we was in that back room, and you were sat there in the kitchen by the corner, and I kind of sensed that something wasn't quite right that night, in honesty. Did you as a team know that either Adam was going, or that negotiations weren't going right, or for whatever reason? Were you aware at that time that there might be a change in the management of our club?
I knew exactly what was happening. You guys probably worked out that me and Adam were like brothers for 2 seasons. So he told me everything. So I knew that we were done. I knew I was done because I knew I wouldn't be able to work there unless Adam was there. I knew Greeny was done. I can't speak for the players because a lot of the players were under contract. But obviously there was a certain atmosphere that night. I think everyone picked up on it. But we obviously we still arrived. We came for the night and done our job still. And then it was just a bit of a weird atmosphere. To be fair, mate, I can't really remember a lot about it apart from George's speech because it was just a pinnacle of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that it wasn't quite right, and it seemed to be that, you know, it ended very quickly. I mean, listen, I know it was a sore point that we've been beaten by Maidstone, but it just kind of ended really quickly. And I know, you know, you guys was all going off home, and Greeny was going back to the players' house. So I gave him a lift back to the players' house, and I'll be fair to Greeny and straight. He never said a word, you know, even if he knew what was happening. But I kind of got that, you know, I'd kind of, you know, bonded with you guys. Listen, you know, you used to see me when I was coming down at training and stuff like that, and you know, I'd get my pad out sometimes, and Adam knew just to give me that look if it was the time to, you know, turn it off and stuff. Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, we used to chat probably 2 or 3 times a week, so there was a bond there, you know, between me, you, Greeny, Adam, the lot, and I felt, you know, when I dropped him off at home, I just felt that, you know, this was probably going to be the last time I saw him in that sense, and I was right. So, yeah, obviously a disappointing end for you and for us in not winning the league, and obviously or not winning the playoffs or getting to the playoff final. And then
definitely. I mean, for me, I didn't really want to leave. Like I said, I felt like I still needed to pay you boys back after what you'd done with my family. So, like, my job wasn't done. I didn't repay you guys in terms of getting promotion. But the club, the players, the management group, we was all one big happy family. And I genuinely mean that. Everyone had everyone's back, whether it was on the pitch, off the pitch, in the tunnel, if there was a little scrap, whatever, but everyone was side by side. And I think it was clear to see from any neutral that came to visit Eastbourne Borough that last season that this is a tight-knit group and it's going to take some beating to separate us. And it was enjoyable the whole time I was there. It was so enjoyable. And like I said, I've made good friends for life. Obviously, I know you guys. I speak to Rob, old beardy Rob. I speak to him, Dave Knight, who's helps me massively outside of football with my business. I owe a lot to him. So yeah, for me personally, Eastbourne Borough, it was a great club, and you'll always be in my heart because you helped me massively.
Yes, nice to hear, Smiffy.
Yeah, and I'll say the same. I'll say the same about Dave Knight myself. He's helped me massively. Obviously, this is his game, right? So he's helped me massively, getting kind words off of him is nice as well. So yeah, thanks to Dave. I just wanted to get out there. Miles, I know you've got the final question about Smiffy and his role, so go with that.
Yeah, before I ask that as well, I think it's shown throughout this pod, really, Smiffy, like how much the club and Adam meant to you. Like, you still call him Gaffer now, which just shows the bond you guys have. I think you've only said Adam like a few times, you know, in a conversation. It's always Gaffer, so it's sort of testament how well you guys got on, and it's great to see. Considering, you know, the amount of changes we had this season, it's been quite disjointed. So, you know, it's nice to think back to how it was. I mean, it's sort of like a family, I guess.
Gaffer's not watching because he'll probably get the ump that I'm calling someone else Gaffer, but I know he'll be fine with it. It's more of a reference for you guys.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
But, yeah.
I doubt he watches us. If you are watching, Adam, hope you well, mate. Hope you will.
If you are,
I think he's got more important things going on.
Because I want you on here, right?
Yeah, please come on. Please come on. I think he's got more important things going on in National North, mate. But yeah, there we are.
Greeny might come on. Greeny will be all over it. I spoke to Greeny last week for about 3 days, it felt like. I love that
Tell
man,
him
mate.
to message me anytime he wants to come on.
Honestly,
Smiffy,
what a
anytime.
guy. What a guy.
Love Greeny. Love him.
He is, honestly, mate, honestly, what a bloke.
I remember seeing
Big up
you two.
Greeny.
When was it? When I was in Ballantyne's that night and we was all in the jacuzzi. Do you remember?
Me?
You and Greeny and me.
Oh, I took Greeny there, yes. Yeah, I did, yeah. I do remember. Yeah, sorry,
and
mate, yeah.
I've walked in and you're in there. And
When he used to stay in the house, it would be almost like bedtime, like 11 o'clock at night. And all of a sudden you hear a goat noise, like, and it's just Greeny just doing farm noises throughout the house. Like, honestly, like, Gens is a maniac.
That's so rogue.
There were some funny stories that night when we were sitting there. I'm sitting opposite you, and I think there was someone else in there as well, in the jacuzzi, and it was like, and we're just sitting there, and some of the stories that Greeny was saying was, just absolutely hilarious. And
the geezer's got he's had a good life, an eventful life.
Definitely.
I'll finish my question up now after I went off a bit off piece there. So just round up in regards to like just the mental aspect of the game is becoming, more of a prevalent part of your side as a coach, and particularly as a goalkeeper. We touched on it earlier how it's quite an isolating role. So it's just how you go about supporting the mental side of the game for keepers. I guess there's a few sides to that. First of all, people like Barry giving the keepers jip behind a goal. How do you do it with idiots like him? And secondly, about if a keeper makes a big mistake, from memory, Joe made one Maidstone away when he got caught out. We were 2-1 down. I think he came out to sweep the ball and got caught out. And then Finn had the one in his debut, which I more wanted to ask you about how you sort of help Finn in that situation, because obviously it's quite, I imagine, quite nerve-wracking coming in for a big game, and then within 25 minutes he's made an error, it's led stalking, getting the leg up in the game. So how do you support keepers mentally? Is my question.
So to answer the first one, how to deal with idiots like Barry is, if anything, it goes the opposite way. So the keepers will just tend to have a weldy, because it triggers something in our brain. That again, and it comes back to what I was saying before we was filming. I think like I'd be out on a mission to piss everyone off. So in my mind, that mission is now I'm going to piss you off throughout the game, and I'm just going to try and save everything I possibly can. So I know a lot of keepers work like that, getting crap. And to be fair, a lot of the boys enjoy it. A lot of goalkeepers enjoy the banter. There is a line, I don't know if you remember, there was a line with Jack Turner when I had to walk around the goal last season at Farnborough.
And I'm
not going to go into details about that.
No, but I want to refer to that because you were right. There was a line, and obviously that particular day, the kid, we won't go into the whole thing, but the kid knew he'd said wrong. And the one thing I would always do, I might give keepers banter, but I'd shake their hand at the end of the game. I'd make sure I shake their hand and say good luck for the rest. And they knew what it was, and let's be fair, half of these keepers had seen me before, so they knew what they were going to get. But with Jack, that kid tried to apologise 2 or 3 times when the ball went out of play, but the ball wasn't out of play enough. So I pulled Jack. Before, as he was picking his stuff up out of the goal, and I said to him, look, the kid's down there, because the steward had taken him down, the security guard had taken him down, so he was by the tunnel. And I said, look, that kid's tried to apologise to you, but the ball just hasn't gone out of play. And do you know what? There's one thing, it kind of brings a tear to my eye, because that kid knew he'd done wrong. And I said to Jack, look, he knows he's done wrong. He's down there. He wants to apologise to you. And I'm stood at the river end now. And as I watched him go down, I didn't even walk round the ground. I just wanted, and I want to go out for a fag, right? But I just wanted to see what was going on. And as he's walked down, he got to the centre circle and he just took his right glove off. Never took his left glove off. He just took his right glove off. And when he went there, he shook the kid's hand. And it was like, that to me, just taking your glove off, because it wasn't like I'm shaking hands with my glove. I'm making the effort now because he knew that kid had
Human
made the effort.
contact.
So yeah, and I thought that was massive of Jack to do that. It was
he's a
big
good
of the
guy.
kid because the kid was a young kid. And listen, we all make mistakes. I mean, I've shouted things before at the keeper, but before they can turn around and have a pop at me, I've got my hand in the air and said sorry. I mean, I remember Salisbury at home in the 23-24 season, I shouted something and it was wrong, but I knew as I shouted it, and it was a spur of the moment shout. And as the keeper turned around, I already had my hands up, and he went, well, "That was nice, wasn't it?" I went, "So sorry." He went, "No, I know," and that was it. It was forgotten. Anyway, sorry. Carry on with your.
No, that's
No,
right.
and Dubois as well. He had a great game against us. Bob was there for it was away. I think you were there, Smiffy, at that point. Actually, it was the 1-0 loss in the relegation season. I think Brad Barry got sent off about 80 minutes in. We lost 1-0. They scored in the 96th minute. It was a Tuesday night.
That's when I got sent off.
Yeah. Oh, you got sent off as well, did you?
I got
I
sent
don't remember
off
that part.
because the fourth official put on 4 minutes, and
Right.
like you just said, they scored in the 96th. So I had
right.
a raging one because it would have been my first clean sheet for the club, and that was Harrison's first game back because unfortunately for Ben we decided to go with H that night, and we conceded the 96th minute, and I just remember I was so angry, not with conceding, but you've now played 2 minutes over what you've put up, and the ball was in play for them last 2 minutes. That's the bit I couldn't understand. So obviously I gave it to the ref as I refused to shake his hand because I was just so angry, and obviously that's a regret I have, but
Hate the moment.
football.
Yeah, exactly,
Again, I
mate.
forgot your question at that point. I don't know.
It was just reinforcing the fact that you said that keepers get stick, and Dubois had a weldy, and then he gave it back to our fans.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, but answering your question about Finn and Joe, it was a tough one for Finn because again in that game he'd done that chop beforehand in that game and it came off.
He did. Yes, he did.
And obviously he thought he could do it again, but that's experience and inexperience teaching you something there. The experience thinking, you ain't going to do me again, I'll just stand still. And also, I've got to stick up for the goalies a little bit. The bounce on any 3G pitch is not true to a grass pitch. The ball will come over the top, and if you remember Joe at the Dorking game when we lost at Dorking in the league, the ball came over the top, and as it's bounced, it's kind of bounced backwards. So now it's delayed Joe's movement by that half a second, which is vital. It's now just thrown him. And I remember on the Monday we came in, we watched his clips back, so I'd have clips for all these games, what we could have done better, what we done well. We sat on the Monday and we must have watched that clip for 20 minutes, watching the ball in the slow-mo that you could, the ball coming over, bouncing and bouncing back. And if you, honestly, and I still blame that rather than Joe. But
yeah, fair enough.
Dealing with that mentally, it's tough because I remember Finn was so upset for the week. He thought he'd let everyone down. I kept G'ing him up saying, you're good enough to play this level because that's why we put you in. I wouldn't have put you in if I didn't think you were good enough. There was one day in the week, and again, if he's listening, he won't mind me saying this, he trained like an absolute idiot. Like he was moping, he was sulking, and if you know Finn, everything has to be perfect for him. So after one session, I said, come and have a chat, and we actually sat on the halfway line speaking for half an hour about life, about goalkeeping, and I just made him understand that things in life are not always going to go the way you want them to go. I know it's your debut, but unfortunately it's not gone the way you wanted it to go. You're a goalkeeper. You're going to have to deal with mistakes. That ain't going to be your first mistake. It ain't your first mistake. It's never going to be your last. Unfortunately, you're going to have another mistake along your career. That's just goalkeeping, right? And then we went in. Did he play the Enfield game? I can't remember. I think we had Enfield, and then we had to throw him in against Truro. And if you guys went to Truro, Finn bounced back like prime Peter Schmeichel.
Fantastic.
Like prime Oliver Kahn, all in one. He was unbeatable, and he earned his team a clean sheet and himself a clean sheet.
100%.
And in my eyes, man of the match that day.
100%.
And that just G'd him up. So going from that game against Dawkins, sitting on the halfway line talking, me trying to get the best out of him, to now Truro away, which, by the way, I think we were the only club to beat Truro at Truro.
Other than Torquay, yeah.
Oh, did Torquay beat? Oh, yes.
Yeah, 1-0 in Easter. Yeah.
Apologies, yep.
No, that's all right. Yeah, one of the few, yeah.
So, yes, mentally it can be draining, but you've just got to you've got to bounce back so quick. You ain't got time to think about that mistake. As the gaffer always said, you got 24 hours to think about the game, and then Monday you come in thinking about Hampton and Richmond, Enfield, whoever it's going to be. You got 24 hours to feel sorry for yourself. You got 24 hours to enjoy your win, and that's how I sold it to Finn as well.
Mm-hmm. No, it's good to hear that insight.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, I mean, obviously, Finn, Joe, all them, you were working with them for a long period of time. We had an injury crisis at one time during that season, and obviously we got Max Metcalf in on loan. What a keeper he was! How did you get him? What was that all about? How did that come about?
So again, right, he done. What did he do? Oh, his groin. I think it was his groin. He had a bit of trouble with his groin, so we had no qualms in throwing Finn back in. And I'll take full blame, because we was training, and during one of my sessions, he accidentally fell on a part of the equipment, which was my fault. To be fair, he should have seen it, but he didn't. I didn't point it out, so I will take full responsibility for that. And he landed on it and busted his ankle. So, rewinding to a question you said earlier about pre-season trying to get goalies in, and I said it was a stressful time. Let me tell you, that was the most stressful time, trying to find a goalkeeper. I think I had 2 days to find one. So many phone calls with agents, academy managers, goalkeepers, for like free agents. And obviously Max had worked with Adam at AFC Fylde. So he said, ring Stockport up, let's try and get Max in. So I was on the phone to the Stockport goalkeeper coach, which was Nick Colgan, arranged for Max to come down. He stayed, and Max was fantastic. He was brilliant. I think he was about 8 foot tall. Lovely person, fitted in with the group straight away, stayed in the player's house, trained exceptionally well. His first game was Dorking away in the FA Trophy.
Yeah.
I'd done, obviously, my homework that day for penalties just in case. And I've got the bottle sitting here, actually, right? I gave Max the bottle at the end, and he looked at the bottle and he went, "What do you mean hold?" Right, so I'm going to show you now. Right, still got the bottle.
Was that Pryor's one when he dinked it?
Pryor. So every penalty Pryor done. Right, you see it at the top, number 9. Right, hold, central. He looked at me. He goes, "You want me to stand still?" I said, "I've shown you the penalties. All he does is dink them." I said, "I will take full responsibility. Don't dive. I promise you, just don't dive." You guys know what had happened. Pryor dinked it. Max saved it. He didn't really need to save it. He probably could have headed it off the fucking line. So that was Max's first game, and he fitted in really well. And I think he saved. How many did he save that? 2, 3?
2.
3, I think.
Saved Josh Brookins one, I think, as well. I think it was 2. I think they missed one off the top of
my head. Did Sky over? I think. Yeah. So Max was great for us, and then again training. he somehow injured himself. He was mid-set with one of my in the session, and he dived to his left, and he felt something go as he was diving, and unfortunately for him, that was him done. He had to go back to Stockport to get it seen to. I can't remember what he'd done. I think it was something to do with his knee. But yeah, we would have kept him on, but thankfully Joe was just coming back. He had done all his work with Ethan and Bruno, so yeah, Joe was ready to come back in and finish the season with us.
Mm-hmm. Maybe not in that scenario, but is it tough to manage two goalkeepers like that want to compete against each other? Because obviously Finn probably realised he's number 2, right? But particularly with Folksy and Ben, they both wanted to play, right? I mean, every player wants to play, but you know what I mean? Like Holt must have a more of an idea. He's not going to be number 1 than Ben or Harrison would have done in that first season.
Yeah, the first season I come in, so when I got the job, so when they called me and said you got the job, obviously I'd done my homework on the club anyway, and the goalkeepers I had there. When I looked, I was like, bloody hell, these are 2 unbelievable goalkeepers.
Yeah, probably our best position, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was looking through the fixtures, who had played, and they'd sort of halved it a little bit. And we'd actually started with Ben a few times. And I remember saying to Gaffer, I said, look, if you want to play this certain way, unfortunately for Ben, we're going to have to go with H, because and again, Ben won't make me saying this, I'm very close with Ben. I literally see Ben yesterday for a coffee. H was just that little bit more better with his feet and distribution. But again, it was really hard to strike balls off the Eastbourne pitch. But trying to manage them two was pretty easy, to be fair, because Ben took it brilliantly. He then became like a member of staff on the bench. He was on the earpiece. Who was it? I think it was Truro away, but at Gloucester, when they was ground sharing at Gloucester. So Ben was on the earpiece giving us messages on the sideline. Like he took it. He was upset, but he just thought, I want this team to stay up. So I didn't really have to manage them. And the same with Joe, Max and Finn. Obviously Finn was injured, that's why Max came in. So Finn knew he was now down the pecking order a little bit until his injury was come back. But Joe knew he had to work. He would have had to work to get his spot back. And he would have done, because Joe's a hard worker. And Max obviously wanted that spot, but unfortunately for Max, he got injured and Joe managed to get his spot back. But managing is pretty easy. You're a goalkeeper union, and anyone that's ever worked under me, goalkeeping, will tell you I don't have no idiots in the camp. I won't have no idiots. You got to get on. Like, we're a family, and we help each other. Right now at Folkestone, I've got Ted Collins in goal, who's doing unbelievable. And I've got a little group of training goalkeepers who have just bought into everything that we do at Folkestone and what we do as a goalkeeping group. It's really good.
Yeah, it sounds like you manage it well.
Definitely so. So, Andy, we come to the end of our time together tonight. It's been a fantastic time. Loved having you on, and thank you for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I think, no, you're welcome. And I think, obviously, we wish you the very best of luck on Saturday. We can only imagine. There's something in this. There's something in this because we survived relegation on a Thursday. You had to train on the Friday, and we played Braintree on a Saturday. Now, you don't play till Saturday, and you've got a game again on Monday. So, good luck on Saturday. You're going to have headaches Sunday morning, right? No head tennis, and then obviously on to
Easter Sunday. I've got family meal, so I can't have too much of a headache.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so good luck, and I'm sure if you do get the result you need, the celebrations will go on into Sunday. So yeah, have a good luck and have a great time afterwards. Yeah. Miles, thanks for tonight.
No problem at all. Best of luck, Smiffy. Thanks for coming on.
Top man, Miles. Appreciate it.
No trouble.
And thank you all for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, all that old rubbish, And we will see you again soon.
all the best. Hope you manage to do another great escape. I know it's going to be a tough one, but it's not over until the fat lady sings, as they say.
She's clearing her throat. She's clearing her throat.
Oh yeah, vocal cords are well